Welcome, Cassandra, to this brand new series of doing a social make more money on social media. So I'm going to run you through a few questions and just give your honest feedback and answers to hopefully help people that are aspiring to be like you. Sound good?
Sounds perfect.
All right. So first of all, can you get started by telling us a little bit about yourself and your business, what you do and who you serve?
My name is Cassandra Doon, and I am an author, romance author. I sell myself online, my books online, because I am a self-published indie author.
Amazing. And what were your kind of business goals when you first started focusing on social media? And how did that fit into your overall strategy of, I guess, trying to sell more books?
Once you write a book, you think that you're done. You're like, okay, I'm finished. That's it. I wrote my book. Instantly author. But when you're self-published, you actually have to go out of your way then to self-market. No one tells you how to do it. So I pretty much had to learn on the fly.
What were the kind of goals that you had from starting up your social media presence then? Because there's a lot of time and energy to build a social media following and sell yourself on there. So were you focused on a specific platform and what was your goal on that platform?
Yeah, so I pretty much focused everything originally on Instagram because I know how Instagram works. It's also like the oldest one that I'd been on because I'd been on there for such a long time. So when I made like a second account just for my author work, I found it was a lot easier to roll into it from that. And I just wanted to organically grow. I didn't want to have to buy followers or any of those sorts of things. That happens quite a fair bit in that industry, but it was hard to start literally from nothing again. And I pretty much focused on Instagram to start with because I knew it. Yeah, I understood how that particular program worked.
Yeah, then would be that's really common to start like what you know and when as your kind of strategy evolved, did you want to go with any other platforms or were you 100% focusing on building your presence on Instagram?
I hired a PA originally to help me out with my social media marketing because I'm pretty good at it. And she was like, you need to have Facebook, you need to have TikTok, I need to have threads. And I was like, oh, here we go down the rabbit hole. I'm not very good in the public eye. So I was like, okay, fine. So I joined all of these other platforms and then just added them to my list. And I ended up having to create content for 4 separate places every day, which was really difficult. Even though it was the same content. It was just posted in 4 separate places twice a day, every day. And because you have to jump on trends and you have to do this and you have to do that. And I was like, oh, I can't keep doing this.
How much time out of your day was that taking you? And especially as an author where it's such a creative job, was it like a huge pull and a huge distraction? What kind of time are we talking to be on these different platforms and to do that?
Probably about an hour to 2 hours a day, but it also depended on whether or not I got stuck in the rabbit hole and started scrolling. I'd get on there and I'd be scrolling looking for the next trend that I had to do that day. And I would end up in the deep pit of looking at cat videos and silly things that you don't need to be looking at. And then you waste an extra hour on top of the hour it takes to create the content to start with. And I was like, this is not for me.
It's so addictive, isn't it? It's
It
the same
is.
with me. I get in and I'm like, no, an hour gone. Yeah, I'm with you, with you. What was the major kind of shift for you then from having that routine of putting your content on social media on the different platforms and sometimes getting sucked in to where you're at now? What was the big shift for you that started to make a difference?
Apart from SmarterQueue, obviously, was my girlfriend who's a PA. She isn't my PA though, but she's a PA for authors. And I was whinging about it. I was honestly having a good old cry about how much I hated it because I'm not very good at being on social media. And one who turned around to me and said, why am I doing it myself? She's, I understand that you got a PA who helps you create everything. And technically, my PA was the one posting the videos. I was just creating the content. She was the one who was coming up with the captions and making sure everything was delivered on time and all of those sorts of things. Because that was another thing you had to work out, like what time a post had to be live, what time something was, because of all the different countries. Because being an author isn't related to the country that you live in. It's a worldwide thing. So if you're going to drop a certain trend, it needs to drop like in America at a certain time. It needs to drop in Australia at a certain time. And that was just well over my head, well over my head. And my girlfriend was like, you need a scheduling service. You need to spend 1 day a week creating your content, getting it ready, doing everything you need to do, uploading it to a program that just does it all for you. And I was like, that doesn't exist. And she's like, yes, it does. It's like, oh, well, gimme, because I'm done.
Give it to me now. So that was how you were introduced to SmarterQueue then?
Yes, that was exactly how, and it was actually cheaper for me to use SmarterQueue than it was to pay for a PA to do it.
That's
3 times.
amazing.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to save money.
So then what was your next kind of step? Was to batch content, create, I guess, for 1 day a week, 1 month? What was your kind of process like for creating it and then uploading it into SmarterQueue to schedule?
Initially, I started batch creating for a month. So I did utilize other companies like Etsy and that do have templates that you can buy, and then you just edit them through Canva. So I would spend an entire day creating batches and batches of content for this month. And then I would just sit there and just create all the posts and all the hashtags that you needed and everything else. And I would just upload to SmarterQueue and walk away. And this is like when I first started, I wasn't doing reels, I wasn't doing videos, I was just doing the simple posts and having them scheduled every day until I jumped on a random trend on TikTok that my girlfriend was like, you need to do this. And I was like, oh, I'll do it for fun. And that reel got so many views and I got so many sales. I was like, what am I doing? So now I just load all of that in as well. So I do tend to jump on every 3 days now onto SmarterQueue just to upload the correct reel. Because with reels and TikTok, it is a daily social, like it is a daily thing that you need to do. You can be like 2 or 3 days in advance, but it is a daily thing. But now I just jump on and I just chuck it in there and I like work out what's a great time for it to drop in whatever country I need it to drop in. And I just schedule that post and walk away.
That's so clever. That's so clever. So you're online looking for the trends and then you make that video yourself and then you upload it into SmarterQueue to hit the exact market that you want to hit at the time. Wow. That's really inspirational. I can always feel like light bulbs going off for different authors that are having this trouble right now, writing, doing the content, doing it manually, going into Instagram, going into TikTok, and just the headache that is.
Yeah, well, when you got to post in 4 separate places and you got to change your hashtag for places. I was like, this is too much. It's a lot easier to just jump on, schedule away, walk away, and it'll drop instead of having to set alarms on your phone and be like, oh, I've got to post that at 3 a.m.
What a headache. You want to step away from that and then focus on your writing. So it sounds like the perfect setup. And do you see that kind of evolving as you grow? Or are you happy with the process right now of the 3 days? And would you recommend this ongoing for people that are wanting to sell more books?
100%.
Or are you looking at doing something else?
So far, with the organic growth I have gotten from this, it's insane. Like I got just over 400 new followers last week just from a reel going viral. And it wouldn't have gone viral if I hadn't posted it at a certain hour and a certain time. Because like when something drops in America first thing in the morning, which is coffee hour, which is when people first get out of bed and they grab their phone and they have a little scroll through, I find that my views just go. Whereas if I set it for 7 o'clock in Australia, no one like touches their phone when they first wake up. What are you guys doing? Pick it up.
Like a different culture. What kind of time, like on your SmarterQueue posting plan, you say like coffee hour in America. If somebody wants to just take this strategy and run with it now, what kind of hour would you say to be posting to blow up on TikTok?
So if you're copying a reel, like a TikTok reel that's currently going viral, and you want it to land in America at coffee hour. Coffee hour is somewhere between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. That's usually when people first wake up, their alarm goes off, they grab their phone, and they do the dead scroll for 20 minutes before the next alarm goes off, and they crawl out of bed. So I aim for it to hit between those hours. And usually my views, I'll wake, like when I check my phone, within the first hour of that reel dropping off, I will sit at 500 views in that hour just because it hits at that perfect moment.
That's incredible. And what other kind of results have you got from your different social media strategies that you're using? You focus on growth, more shares, more views. What is the main thing that you think that people should focus on if they're trying to sell more books?
Well, I
like you?
initially started more, I was like, I need sales, and I was running ads. I was doing all of those things online thinking that I could just get sales, like Insta sales, pretty much. Only to discover that I actually got more sales and better growth through focusing on getting followers. So as soon as once I twisted what I was doing and changing my captions and that, I found that the more followers I gained, the more sales I got, and the more reviews I got, because reviews are super important in the book world. But instant sales don't really switch over to reviews, and they don't switch over to repetitive service, whereas getting those followers does. Like even my pre-orders on books that I had dropping every month, the pre-orders have now gone up.
Wow. By how much do you know, roughly, for anyone who's curious and listening? Just like
So my
an
pre-orders
estimate.
used to sit at, depending on the book, like if it was a young adult book, I would sit between 100, just under 100 pre-orders. Now I sit somewhere between 300, 400 pre-orders per book every month. And it's just because I have gained those followers.
Wow.
That when I put a book out and say this book's coming out on this date, I find that obviously those followers are now following me because they're interested in my writing. They will now pre-order.
So just from organic social media, you've 4 times the amount of
Yes.
pre-orders that you're getting. And that's just pre-orders, right?
No,
That's
it's not
continuous
just
ordering
random
process.
sales. That's just pre-orders.
Very cool. What would be the next step that you would tell an author that wants to be like you? What should be the very first thing that they focus on? Would it be getting the right posting plan and finding their markets? Or would it be batch creating their content? What would be the smartest move? Or checking
you
trends,
obviously
maybe?
need to start off with getting SmarterQueues, because I have found that posting on time is the most important factor in all of it, pretty much. You can batch create in a day. That's super simple. But it's the when it lands and having it posted across all the platforms in one go that is the most important, because that's where it comes from. Having the correct timing. You can't just jump on and chuck out a post at 2:00 in the afternoon, because it's not going to get the views that you need.
Is there anything else that you wanted to share before we share your referral link? So for anyone that's interested and is okay, I want to try SmarterQueue, I want to have the same success. If you sign up with Cassandra's link, then you'll get a 30-day free trial. It's usually 14 days. And you don't need a credit card. It's completely free to test out. And you'll get a free onboarding call and a free strategy call as well for anyone who's interested. But final words from Cassandra, anything else that you
Just
wanted
follow
to share?
the trends. You just spend one day focusing just completely on social media. Follow the trends, batch create, upload, and just check out your analytics at the end. See where you're sitting. See where you sit when you start, and see where you sit when the 30 days is up. And you'll see the growth across those 30 days. And it's almost instant. It creeps, like it does obviously creep up over time, but it's almost an instant thing that you notice. Like you'll look at it and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I've already gone up 10% of views.
That is really incredible. We'll share some screenshots as well from Cassandra's analytics so that you can see that this is real, that this works. And thank you so much for joining me.